It's the midweek edition of Business Morning. Good morning. I'm Harriet Agbinyi. Thank you so much for joining us on today's edition of the program. It's also going to be a packed one today. We've got quite a number of things that we're talking about. We're talking about Financial Literacy Day, which is tomorrow. You get to know more about that in a bit. But let's take you through some of the stories we're tracking. Top of this hour, Africa Finance Corporation today announced Dr. Joseph Nana, a deputy director at the Central Bank of Nigeria, as a replacement of Dr. Sarah Alade on the board of the leading Pan-African multilateral development finance institution. A statement issued by the AFC says the change takes effect as Dr. Alade retires from the Central Bank as a deputy governor. Alade was representing Nigeria's Central Bank on board of the Africa Finance Corporation headquartered in Lagos. Dr. Nana has over 30 years' experience as an economist and a banker. He was on the board of the International Monetary Fund and a consultant to the Nigerian government to the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. Also in the news, following the sale of Keystone Bank Limited to the Sigma Gulf River Bank Consortium by the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, the new owners have announced the names of members of the lender's transitional board of directors. Alhaji Umaru Modibo is the new transition chairman, with Hafiz Bakari, acting managing director, chief executive officer. Others are Mrs. Yvonne Isiche as executive director, Mrs. Titilayo Adebi as a non-executive director, and Mr. Bulus Dan Habu as a non-executive director as well. According to the bank, the transitional governance arrangement, which will take effect from April 1, is subject to approval by the Central Bank of Nigeria. Also in the news, Nigeria's Debt Management Office will today list the FGN savings bond on the Nigerian Stock Exchange and close Wednesday's trading session. At its first auction for the savings bond, the DMO announced total subscription at an estimated 2 billion naira, and most analysts expect that to continue to be oversubscribed. We'll talk to an investment analyst from AfroInvest much later on the program to talk about this. Now, the Nigeria Export Processing Zones Authority says it's committed to the development of the $1.4 billion Lekki Deep Sea Port located at the heart of the Lagos Free Trade Zone. According to the Managing Director of NEPSA, Benga Akuye, the multi-purpose deep sea port, when completed, is expected to be one of the most modern in the world, supporting the flourishing trade in Nigeria and other West African countries. So those are some of the top stories at this time. Let's quickly take you through the markets and see where they finished off on the second trading day for the week. Of course, starting with the fixed income segment of the market, that saw major investors, well, a bit of a tepid trade if you take a look at those numbers. But the top four most actively traded treasury bills on the FMDQ OTCs market were mixed. Mostly short-dated and medium-dated bills, and those are the top four. But the most actively traded was the bill maturing on the 20th of April 2017. In total, number of deals came in at 473, valued at 391.55 billion naira. According to analysis from Quadros Capital, that segment of the market was largely quiet, with 56% of traded bills closing flat. Investors are also downbeat in the bond segment of the market. Take a look at the top four, but also notice that at the end of the day, transactions came into only 139, valued at 32.40 billion naira. And for the second trading day of the week, investors were quite upbeat as well. For the S&P Nigeria Bond Index, we saw the index level at 273 and an expansion of about 22 basis points recorded yesterday. Month to date is at plus 3.56%. At the interbank money market, that saw a decline of about 42 basis points to 13%. That's for the overnight money rate, despite system liquidity falling to a deficit of about 68.15 billion naira. The 1, 3 and 6 month NIBOR rate also recorded declines at the end of trade yesterday. The currencies market still looking pretty good. We had the naira to the dollar at the street market trading at closing at 375 naira to a dollar. But at the interbank over the counter, it's at 306 naira 65 kobo. As you can also see the other rates for the British pound and the euro. Quickly now, let's talk about how the Nigerian stock market finished off yesterday. The all-share index was off 31 basis points to berth at 25,406.72, market capitalization at 8.79 trillion naira. This is despite the fact that some of the major counters, including the oil and gas index, recorded some gains. We'll talk about that when we review the Nigeria energy market in just a bit. But in spite of that gain, it was not enough to push the general market to winning ways. So it was off 31 basis points to 25,406.72. Now, deals came in at 3,342 with a volume of 916.26 million, valued at 2.41 billion naira. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the program, it is Global Money Week, and of course part of the celebrations include a Financial Literacy Day, which some organizations here in Nigeria are trying to promote. It's been on for quite some time. Now, the Junior Achievements Nigeria joins me, the Executive Director, I beg your pardon, of the Junior Achievement Nigeria joins me on the program to talk a little bit more about this Financial Literacy Day. Mrs. Simisola Mwogugu, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
So it's quite an interesting times for the market. Talk to us a little bit about what the key concerns are for taking a look at how this week has been. It is Global Money Week, as I already mentioned, but what are the key concerns for individuals like you?
Well, for us at Junior Achievement, our vision is to create young business leaders leading a vibrant economy. And what we're trying to do is create those people who can thrive anywhere in the world. What the central bank decided to do is to increase financial literacy among